other implications that you utilize. So the purpose of the discussion is to provide some more details about the talk and other things that you may not have mentioned due to the time constraint, or some complementary things that you might want to do. The range of the topics covered are, today's theme was deep growth, the beyond growth, and the thinking toward new paradigms. But I mean, your background and everything was so diverse, so very different theme. But nonetheless, I think all three talks fit nicely into the current theme, and also each talk was complementary each other. Rubini, Dr. Rubini, well-known, he is a mainstream economist, and his ideas are mainly came from macro and financial perspective. And Lady Shiva's talk was based on her long-term experience as an environmental and social activist. On the other hand, Kohei Saito's talk is based on ecological and Marxist perspective. A strange combination, in my view, of the good things that may not, fit together, but it was nicely fit into each other in today's talk. As I said, today's theme was beyond the growth, new paradigms toward common prosperity. So I think it is probably better to start with today's theme. In my view, today's title presupposes that the old paradigms, the growth-oriented, greed-driven paradigms are obsolete and are no longer sustainable. But I don't know whether everyone agrees on this, and even if you agree on this, we need to change something. Then my question is, to what extent do you agree on this? Do we need a radical change in paradigms, or will a modest change in paradigms be enough? I don't know who's going to reject this, but if you reject, if you reject the growth-oriented paradigms, then how should we measure prosperity? What should be the most important values in the new paradigms that you would like to have? So I think it is fair to have this kind of discussion first. Muriel, would you start about this?
Thank you. I tend to be a pragmatic economist. I'm not ideological. I usually try to think about what works in practice, not just what works, in theory. And I think that, the kind of extreme value of use one, for example, that we need purely laissez-faire free market capitalism, that markets are going to function, where we don't need any government intervention in the economy, we don't have to have any provision of public services. That kind of Wild West capitalism doesn't exist anymore. Even in the United States, the share of government spending to GDP that was lower than Europe is rising right now. And on the other side, I believe that that we have experimented with variants of communism or extreme socialism. One was the Soviet Union. It failed. Another one was China, and China also failed, and the reason why China became rich since 1979 has been the process of opening up of the economy and making it different in the past. I would say the most striking example is the difference between North and South Korea, after the Korean War, both countries were extremely poor. Literally per capita income was at the level of some poor African countries today. And actually the North had more of the industrial base, with more of the natural resources. Now you fast forward from 1950 to today, with all the problems that South Korea has, and we can discuss them. This is an advanced economy. It's gone from low level of income to middle income, now to high income. Has become successful. It's democratic. It's a society that is being successful, dynamic, innovative. While in North Korea, from time to time, there's still elements of famines, if not starvation. So I think that the duality is a bit extreme. It's not either we need to have communism or we have to have laissez-faire capitalism. I think that everybody agrees that any successful economy is one in which a lot of economic activity is driven by the private sector, but then the government has an important role in provision of public services, whether that's education, healthcare, unemployment insurance, welfare to the poor, progressive taxation, redistribution, in part from rich to poor, social safety net, social insurance, and so on and so on. And maybe the disagreements, of course, are between those parts of the world where there are more center-right governments and center-left governments, but take Europe. The difference between center-right and center-left is not that radical. In places even like Germany, or better in other parts of Europe where there are center-right governments in power, government spending is still 40 to 50% of GDP. So the differences are kind of nuances. Even in the United States, where there's been a movement from, say, Obama to Trump, the government spending as a share of GDP did not change very much, and the social safety net remained as much as before. So we have to find, I would say, pragmatic solutions to these problems, and my view is that some variants of liberal democracy, of democratic, market-oriented capitalism tends to work well, especially when the government provides the important role that it has to provide in creating public services.
To me, then, Uriel is thinking that the problem was caused mainly by the neoliberal version of capitalism rather than the capitalism itself, and also the excessive financialization and the unregulated markets and so on. But the other people, they think that we need more radical change in the vision. So I'm going to ask about this the details vision to Dr. Shiva.
I'm a pragmatic artist. And that doesn't mean being ideological. It means commitment to life. I see nature's economy. Nature has its economy. We want to be breathing, drinking water, eating food without nature's economy. Society's economy. Social economies are what are the real foundation. Women's economy, it is something as no word, because the measurement of GDP according to the national system of accounting made by the year, if you produce what you consume, you don't produce. So women don't produce, peasants don't produce, nature doesn't produce, and it's only the extractive economy of super profits that is measured as growth. So the reason we need a radical change is because the growth paradigm is very unscientific. It doesn't tell the full story of what's really going on in nature or society. The idea that somehow neoliberalism will solve the problem, I think Korea is a very good example. I'll give you a is a resource-consumptive economy. And the more globalization there is, the more demand for resources there is. So the eastern coast of India, there was a coal mine, an iron mine being created, and a captive port for export to China by a company called POSCO, which is supposed to be Korean. So we did some quick analysis and realized that after the 1997 crisis, actually the medical shares were no more in the public system. And in those days, the gates and Mr. Buffett were coming to India to teach us the art of giving. You know, I still have that. And I remember writing a note letter to Mr. Buffett and Mr. Gates, saying, before you come teach us the art of giving, please learn the art of stopping to grab. Because this POSCO unit, Buffett had a very, very big hand. And I think that the quantification in growth, and I'm not speaking of physicists, the quantification in growth does not disaggregate where the growth actually goes. It's anonymous, it's concentrated, and the top most recent figures from India are that 60% of the GDP is going to be super rich. So you could become a $5 trillion economy, but the people will get poorer, and the super rich will get richer. And that's the crisis we are trying to address today. All over the world, and to me, it breaks my heart. I have seen America and Canada as prosperous countries. And now you go to the big cities, we're having more poor people. Half of America is living on the streets. And therefore we need real indicators of the good life. I think every culture will evolve its own language. In Latin America, they have come up with more care, happiness, gross national happiness rather than gross national product, is going everywhere. But my scientific studies on environmental impact show me across the board, whether it's a mining project, a shrimp aquaculture project, or eucalyptus monoculture project, for every dollar traded which is measured as growth, there's more than $10 destroyed in the local economy which is never measured. And that's the ecological disaster, and that's the poverty creation. Until we learn how to create comprehensive systems assessors in a participatory, democratic way, so that those who are getting hurt are able to say, this is my hurt, this is my pain, this is the cost I'm bearing, we will always have a lopsided measurement of growth that rewards the rich at the cost of the earth and at the cost of the people. And then we're going to have collapse. Not just the ecological collapse, but society's collapse. And if we have to be foresighted and farsighted to prevent it, we must look at what makes nature work, what makes societies work, and distribution and circularity is what keeps the metabolism of all living systems going, the living systems of communities and the living systems of the Earth's ecosystems as well as organisms.
Okay, thank you. Certainly, I think that Dr. Shiva's points, I agree with many of the points raised by Dr. Shiva, and that I think one of the big points made by Dr. Shiva is that the GDP measures only marketable goods and services, and it ignores a lot of things that are valuable to society and human beings, but nonetheless, if they are not marketable or transacted in the market, then they are not counted as the contribution to the GDP. Let me give you simple examples. The market trend, the unmarketable household works are not counted as GDP. So we are all doing household work, the laundry, child caring, the cooking, and so on. Those, as long as they are not, transacted in the market, they are not recorded as a component of the GDP. But suppose you start to do household work each other for other people. Let's say I do Dr. Shiva's household work. I'm hired by her, and the pay, let's say, $5 per hour, and she's working for my household work. Well, we just do some market transactions now because of this technology is created. But perhaps our well-being is reduced because, she's doing fully in my household, and I will not do my best to work. So the GDP is created, but perhaps it's possible that our well-being is reduced. So there are many examples that the GDP does not capture. I think that's the point that she's raising. Let me give you another example that I prepared. You show me the figure that I prepared last time. Can you upload the picture? Okay, this is the picture that I have drawn. Another aspect of the GDP or the growth rate is that it captures only a single number, and it ignores the entire distribution. Korea has been well known for past growth in the past. This shows the monthly income, real monthly income, the growth of the real monthly income that I estimated from 1990 to 2000. It captures 30-year growth of the GDP, but it shows the decile, by decile. In other words, instead of just capturing one number, like a 4% growth or something like that, it shows every decile, the growth pattern of every decile. Now, one clear thing is that the highest curve shows the growth of the top decile, whereas that the bottom one is the bottom 10%. You can immediately see that although Korea has a miraculous growth over the last, let's say, 50 or 60 years, the bottom 50% did not grow that much. Right? Only, probably top 50% grew very fast, and that manufactured the fast growth, the story behind the fast growth of the South Korea. So another problem, this is not related to what Dr. Shiva said, but we need to talk about the growth for whom. Instead of just growth for the country or simply growth itself, we need to now discuss more about the growth for whom. Okay? So, all right. Now let's turn to the Dr. Saito. I think his vision is somewhat different from the former people, in the sense that Dr. Saito said that his emphasis is more on communism rather than degrowth. So, I wanted to hear about how his vision of communism can solve the current crisis and the many problems. The one thing that I wanted to ask you before you give your idea is that I want to know a precise definition of communism, or what you have in mind by communism, because you know that there are 10 different versions of communism, and it runs from traditional state-oriented Stalinist version of communism to the market socialist version of communism as well. So I think you need to explain what you have in mind about the communism first, and then how this vision of communism can solve the problem that the current capitalism faces.
And for me, the problem of degrowth and communism cannot be separated because if we cannot grow, if we don't have more and more production, if we cannot consume more and more, we need to share. So the idea of sharing what we need is basically the basic idea of communism or socialism. Communism is not about Stalinism, right? It's just Stalinism is one of the worst mistakes in human history. Because communism can be very different things, as the Professor Lee pointed out. My understanding is very simple. When capitalism requires a constant increase of capital, the communism-based idea is based on the idea of common, sharing, what we need with others. Because the free society is basically based on the monopoly of the top 1% or 0.01%, the divide, the global north, the south. Why can't we envision another kind of society, especially the whole planet, our Earth, is really destroyed by excessive consumption of just a few people in global north? And it's very interesting, right? I mean, I totally agree with what Professor Luigi said in his lecture. I understand that the age of the great moderation is over. The future will be much more destabilized. The future will be fragmented. Stagflation will cause various problems. The climate crisis will be worse. And we share the same reality, but the solution is very different. He said liberal capitalism, liberal democracy, capitalism is more realistic and so on. But the problem is the history of liberal democracy, liberal capitalism, or liberal democracy, so capitalism is based on growth in the global north. So the problem is our economy is no longer growing anymore, and it will not grow due to the very precise factors that Professor Luigi pointed out. So we really need to share more. And we also need to end the colonization, imperialism. We also need to stop exploiting women's free labor. After doing those kinds of things, we need to share more, we need to democratize our economy, we need to end extraction and exploitation. The society will not grow either. And that will be much more closer to the kind of society that was associated with the idea of socialism or communism. And another thing is the liberal democracy functions only under the condition that we can hope that the future will be getting better. But the problem is our situation, the chronic emergency, the chronic crisis is totally different from the time in the 20th century after World War II. Our society will be much more difficult to live because of the environmental degradation, because of the fragmentation of the world. In such an emergency situation, I think the age of reformation is already over. I think we need something much more different, radical, and we need a radical measure. Because remember that during the pandemic, we did many things that has been regarded as unrealistic before the pandemic. Why did we do that? Because it was in the crisis. It was emergency. I think we are facing today a more serious emergency. So we need to come up with all the kinds of agendas and ideas that have been excluded from the table as unrealistic. And I think ideology matters. I admit that socialism, communism, these are all ideologies. But ideology is important because we cannot achieve what we cannot envision, right? Ideology is the basic framework of how we see the world. Growth is also an ideology, and we only counted what we can measure for the sake of economic growth. And we marginalize so many things that are important to our living and our society. Why don't we include them? About that, we need a totally different idea, different ideology based on democracy, justice, sustainability, and sharing. And I think the ideology of communism can be a very helpful tool to revise our way of thinking.
Thank you. Let me give you a few more questions that I have. I think your explanation about the communism still seems to me that is contradictory to, in my view, to what Marx said. And I think, in my view, I'm not an expert on Marxism, but nonetheless, when I read some books about Marx thought that communism will not transpire until forces of production are sufficiently developed. So the first thing is that whether degrowth communism is an appropriate way of describing your vision, or is it kind of an oxymoron? Okay, and second, I think that Marx's view, socialism is needed not because it slows down the growth, but it solves the contradiction of the forces of the production and the relation of production that capitalism faces, right? So, in his view, I think that socialism is needed to grow further, to resolving this contradiction that capitalism has. If I am correct, then I think it's entirely different from what you described.
Exactly. So basically, I am putting forward a wholly new interpretation of karma. I'm not doing this against Marx. I'm actually reading the old Marx text. So Marx actually had that kind of optimistic vision of democratic, technological, progressivist idea of socialism when he was younger. But especially after publishing Capital, he actually studied various issues of ecology, and he also studied the problem of colonialism in Russia, Africa, in Asia. And he corrected how he corrected because the development of technology actually strengthened the lottery of nature all over the world, and it created various kinds of oppression in global south today. So he actually very much changed his ideas, and I actually demonstrated to you my book down on capitalism. I described how his idea of communism has become degrowth communism. And this idea opens up the new space. The environmentalists and socialists had a very bad relationship in the past, but I think the problem we are facing today, ecological degradation, has to do with capitalism. I think it's quite obvious. And then I think the environmentalism, feminism, Marxism, all the kinds of the ideas should unite. That I think that my interpretation of Karl Marx provided that kind of basis for the dialogue.
Okay, let's move on to some narrow questions, because we started with a big question about the theme. Now I'm going to narrow down the other small points. Probably these small points are still big, but maybe smaller than let me move on to the development of technologies of nation and the future for work and policies and so on. I'm going to ask you Dr. Rubini first. Last night I read your book about the mega threats, and then I saw the following sentences. Let me read those sentences. And okay, to combat the mega threats, we must discard cherished assumptions. We cannot assume that automating certain jobs will lead to new and better jobs elsewhere, as is often the case in the past. We cannot assume that lowering tax rates, liberalizing trade, and reducing regulations will unleash economic energy that will benefit everyone. Our very survival may hinge on subordinating individual freedom to the common, national, and global. Failure to restore sustainable and inclusive growth could plunge us back into the tribal dark ages. I'm going to ask you whether you can be more specific about these sentences, in particular the future of the work, about the automation and the overall policies of the lowering tax rate and liberalizing trade. Within the circle of the current conservative government of the South Korea, I think many people still believe exactly opposite to what you said.
Well, I think that while as presenter here in the panel, we presented the spectrum of views, I think there are actually some commonalities. I think we all believe that it's important to stop global climate change, otherwise it will be a disaster. ecological destruction is very terrible for the world and humanity. I think we all agree that there is too much income and wealth inequality in the world, and we have to do something about it. We also agree that people should have the dignity of jobs, and good jobs that allows them to have food, shelter, basics of life, and middle income and middle classes to be growing over time rather than shrinking and squeezed. So that growth has to be inclusive, growth has to be sustainable, and growth has to give economic opportunity to everybody and increase average levels of income. Then we can disagree on maybe how we achieve it, but I think that on these fundamental issues, everyone agrees, and I think that I'm not familiar with Korea, but all over the world, whether you are a government of center-right or center-left, you do care about environment, you do care about not having excessive inequalities, and you care about providing jobs and income to people so that their income rises over time, and their themselves and their family and their children are going to be better off over time. Now, on the issue of inequality, I'm all in favor of progressive taxation that redistributes income from rich to poor. But the problem of poor countries is not necessarily a problem of inequality. I'll give you the following example. Per capita income in the US in advanced economies is between $30,000 to $40,000. In China, it's still only 10,000, so 1/3, 1/4 of very rich economies. In India, it's still 2,500, 1/4 of China. In some poor countries, it's 1,000. And if you make only $2 or less of income per day, so about 700 or less, you're really extremely poor, to the point of really having to struggle. Now take a poor African country, where per capita income is only 700, $2 per day. And suppose there is inequality, and you take all the income and all the wealth of the rich, even the resources owned by foreigners, mining or others, industries, you give it to everybody, you're pure socialists. The average is going to be, first of all, the same as before, 700. Yeah, some people were poorer and they're becoming richer, so the poor ones maybe had an income of 300, the rich had an income of 1,000, so the poor goes from 300 to $600 overnight. Still miserably poor. If you have every day to go and find water, you have to find firewood to heat and cook, you don't have shelter, you're miserably poor. You're at the verge of either starvation or suffering or diseases or poverty, and you're miserable. So radical equalization of income when your level of per capita income is 700 as opposed to 40,000, it's not going to make any difference, period. So you need to increase education, skills, productivity, healthcare, investment in people, so that gradually your income and productivity rises over time. And that's the reality of it. Secondly, on climate change, the professor suggests growth communism. I don't think it's going to work. I'm not among those who are in favor of green growth. Why do I say that? First of all, I can understand why people say countries that are very rich already have all the material goods and services, and therefore, why to become richer? You should care about the quality of growth, not the quantity. And guess what? In Europe, potential growth is already 1%. Suppose it becomes zero, degrowth. Not going to change much of anything. It's going to be the same. But if you are among the 1 billion to 2 billion people in the world that are already extremely poor, below the extreme poverty, or borderline with that, telling them no growth, no increase in per capita income, remaining poor, maybe ecologically poor, is not going to be sufficient. We know that it's true that GDP doesn't measure everything. Absolutely so. We know that GDP correcting for ecological disaster will be different. We also know that the correlation between happiness and per capita income when you're very poor is high. If you're starving, if you have to look for water, food and shelter every day, you're really miserable. And therefore, when your per capita income rises, your happiness rises, up to levels of middle income. It's true that above a certain level of per capita income, there's probably less of a correlation between happiness and per capita income. That's why in many advanced economies, people can be rich but not very happy. But for billions of people that are extremely poor today, telling them no growth is not acceptable. It's not acceptable in India, it's not acceptable in China, let alone in 54 countries in Sub-Saharan Africa that are still extremely poor. So we need, at least for a good chunk of the world, I would say 3/4 of the world that is not US and Europe and advanced economies, for 7 out of those 8 billion people, we need economic growth. Additional point. We now have technologies, they're not cheap enough. Well, whether it's renewable energy, solar, wind, and others, whether it's carbon capture and sequestration, whether it's clean and then green hydrogen, and in the future, there is a hope that energy fusion, even new things that have been discovered in the West 10 or 15 years from now, allows us to create a large amount of energy with zero emissions. We're not yet there, but if we do every country committed to the green transition, we can gradually go to net zero. And of course, advanced economies will have to go faster. Emerging markets are going to go slower because we created most of this problem in advanced economies. 90% of historical cumulative emissions come from rich countries, so who has to be slower? But there is a path. The technology allows us to get to a better world where there is growth, but it's clean growth and it's green growth. Final point. I don't agree that actually there is a limit to economic growth. And I do believe that actually the revolution that comes from AI, machine learning, robotic and automation is going to significantly over time increase potential growth. Some people are super optimistic. They say potential growth instead of being 2% in advanced economies, 20 years from now could be 10%. Maybe that's too optimistic. Maybe it's going to be 4, maybe it's going to be 5, maybe it's going to be 6. But there'll be a radical shift. And the problem of scarcity is going to be significantly reduced if we have AI resolving problems of science, of health, of productivity growth. I mean, for thousands of years, humans lived extremely poor. Life expectancy in advanced economies in the 19th century was 30 years. Today is 80. We had thousands of years where most people lived with famine, poverty, starvation, wars, genocides, plagues, and so on. And while there is a huge amount of suffering still today, the fact that growing number, billions of people have come from starving to poor, to middle income, to higher income, is in part actually technological innovation that increases productivity growth. And if AI is going to have an acceleration of that technological innovation, growth is going to be large. Now, as I pointed out, that innovation may be actually increasing inequality because it's capital intensive, still lies in the city. So we like to have even more in the world of AI, where we are taxing the winner, redistributing to others, or reskilling others, or provide each one of them with enough of knowledge so that everybody can be smart enough to survive and thrive in this digital world. But the idea that we have to have zero or negative growth, or that leads to growth that are not sustainable with the environment, technology will resolve that, and AI and robotic manipulation can massively increase productivity growth. Of course, we have to manage the process. We cannot take it for granted to make sure it is inclusive, that it is sustainable, for everybody. That's the challenge of progressive economic policy, but I prefer green, sustainable, inclusive growth to degrowth commerce.
Okay, thank you. Actually, you already answered the question that I was about to ask the criticism against the so-called ego discussion. Now, so I'm going to come this question to both Dr. Shiva and Dr. Saito. I think he already hinted that, but some people think that it is from the perspective of vast countries that already have high levels of the GDP and consumption. Now, as Muriel mentioned, there are many poor countries where the majority of citizens are on the verge of starving to death. Now, how do we solve the problems caused by growth-oriented policies, excessive greed-driven growth, because the starvation of the many on earth due to the lack of growth? How do you resolve this kind of problematic or contradictory situation? Growth-driven policy, certainly we know that it causes a lot of problems, ecological problems, the destruction of the environment. At the same time, I think more than half of the population on Earth are living very poorly, miserably, because of the very low rate of growth. I mentioned that the growth itself is not important, and I certainly agree that the growth for whom, question of growth for me, is very important. But now, how do we resolve this problem if we emphasize degrowth?
In my talk, I talked about India's times, which if you put it in today's language, was a result of the growth. There was a transfer of wealth from India, an extraction from the peasantry to the developing empire. So it isn't that growth led to reduction of hunger, it created hunger. Second, your presentation, all the presentations today have shown that growth is leading to accumulation at the top, the 1%, squeeze the 1%. And it's in the nature of that process and that metric to lead to the concentration of wealth and a constant vacuum fuel cleaning of the resources and wealth of the earth and society, then it is leading to more hunger. I gave you the figure of how 90% of the corn and soy of the world is going to biofuel and animal feed. You have more growth, but it's leading to hunger because food, land is being diverted from the rights of the people to the profits of agriculture. Where does food come from? Food comes from land, from soil, from biodiversity. And half of the hungry people of the world today are farmers. The farmer movement was it's because globalization was driving farmers into a crisis. And he tried to warm the world by living his life. The three reasons why growth in agriculture is actually contributing to hunger. First, it's diverting more and more land away from farming. Second, is diverting more and more food away from feeding people. Third, it's leading to a polarization of prices so that farmers are spending more and more and more on buying costly inputs. And because of the globalized system, earning less and less and less, our studies show that about 1 to 5% of the consumer price is reaching farm. But they've already spent a lot on inputs. I was giving the figures last night at dinner. 100,000 rupees for the seed cost of tomato, farmers go to the market, sell it at 2 rupees a kilo. In the retail market, it's 100 rupees a kilo. That 98 rupees is going to agriculture state. And farmers are having to throw their products. So, this growth that is not embedded in ecology and not embedded in social justice and not embedded in democracy will necessarily aggravate the problems that we are failing to solve. How do we solve the hunger problem? It's the work I do. We regenerate the soil through ecological agriculture. Chemical farming destroys the soil. You regenerate biodiversity. The more biodiversity there is, the more food per acre there is, the more nutrition there is, the more sequestration of carbon from the atmosphere there is. And you have both more resilience and you have more food and you have more self-reliance. Because if colonialism and growth as its contemporary version as anything, it is about extracting and destroying self-sufficiency and self-reliance. And I've worked so deeply at the rules of trade of agriculture. Why do they want the sanitary phytosanitary agreement? To destroy the agriculture that is healthy and safe, and impose an ultra-processed junk food system where the rules of trade and safety are written by the Pepsis and the Cokes. They tell you with high fructose corn syrup, it's safe, but it's still in your liver. If you look at the figures of the explosion of liver diseases, it's not the alcoholics, it's people eating junk food. And that's why I think the simplistic idea, oh, everyone is dying of hunger, and now there's growth and everything will be fine. Everyone wasn't dying of hunger. Hunger is engineered. Hunger is nature's way of working is to ensure every being gets food. And as I have learned, food is the currency of life. The more attention we pay to the nutrition system and the nutrition cycle and nourish it, the more food there will be for the bees and the earthworms and the butterflies and the child and the old person and the farmer. And we do need to ecologize our thinking much, much more. And it is a tragedy that at this time of evolution, human society has reduced its thinking to one crude hunger or need. When our brains can work with much richer intelligence to practice the ways all beings are taken care of, all human beings are taken care of, and we do it without predating on the earth. It is totally possible to grow more food without using chemical fertilizers, without using fossil fuels. It's definitely necessary that we localize the economy, because any system that is a living system begins to work locally from the small and builds up into the large. The systems that first globalize destroy the local economy. They destroy the ability of people to provide food for themselves. And self-provisioning has to be the way we strengthen. Money, you don't need money. Increasing Mr. Bill Gates' silver will not get food to the hungry in Africa. In fact, he's taking food, people of Africa away from this revolution in Africa and pushing GMO seeds and fertilizers. And I think we need to realize that the currency of life is life, is food, is water, is well-being, is happiness, is care, compassion, sharing. Those are the currencies that make life, and we need to increase those material, ecological currencies. And money has to be put in its place. It's been made an indicator of everything. But it is not, especially when it's in the hands of the 1%. There's a lot of discussion about universal basic income. But at a time of destabilized economy, what will be the universal basic income? I think that's why we need to talk much more about universal basic services and universal basic rights. I think the mayor's comments this morning were talking much more about ensuring people have the services. Because you can't take everything away. The land away, the seeds away, the housing away. This is just some little bits of money. Here are some grounds, some survive. We have to learn again to co-produce and co-create with nature. That's the true economy, and that means rights to the gifts of the earth, and that's the rights to the commons, and care for the commons and sharing the gifts of the commons.
All right, thank you. We have only about 11 minutes left for closing the session. As we said earlier, if you have questions, please submit your question on a small note and then pass it over to me or later. We're going to have some discussion between the four people in the floor and the speakers at the end, about 10 minutes or something. So now I'm going to turn to the same question to Michael from your response.
Yes, there are three very typical misunderstandings about Negro. So I have to point them out. The first three, I am not saying that the Global South is not at all. I'm saying that rather, in order to overcome hunger, poverty, and so on, we need to invest more in Global South. Global South needs to grow. That is why we need to share more resources with the people who actually really need those resources instead of producing more sports cars or cruise ships or whatsoever. So I'm saying that we need to reduce the consumption in global north. The correlation between happiness and the growth does exist, but only to some extent. Buying new Ferrari does not really grow your happiness anymore after buying 2 or 3 Ferraris, right? So that's stupid consumption. We need to spare resources for those who really need them. The second point is people is not anti-technology. We need technology. We need new renewable energies, electric vehicles, and we actually need AI in order to increase the efficiency and productivity. But it is not enough to save the planet. If we keep continuing to produce so many cars, even if these are all electric now, they are still bad for the environment. We need to invest in electric vehicles, but at the same time, we need to reduce the number of the cars we produce. There are too many cars created. I came from the airport to the hotel, there's so many trucks now, and we can invest more in the public transportation, bicycling, and so on. And thirdly, the degrowth is not about reducing GDP. And maybe degrowth is different from recession. Degrowth is a simple proposal. We put higher importance on other things that cannot be measured by GDP. Things like happiness, nature, sustainability, traditional knowledge, community, gender equality, those things, access to basic goods and so on. So these are the things that people want to emphasize. It's not about reducing GDP for whatever reason. We don't want to, degrow our society by having money for education, hospitals, and so on. So of course, in some sectors, the economy will grow. It will be bigger even under the degrowth society. But not for the sake of profit, not for the sake of satisfying the people of the 1%. So the concrete measure will be restricting advertisement while we introduce meat tax, or we also need to regulate the financial sector. These are the radical measures that even the people who advocate for green growth often, want to avoid. They want to emphasize only the good things so that they become popular. But I say, no, we need to ban SUVs, we need to ban the cruise ships, those excessive consumption for the sake of just showing your status. That's something that doesn't really contribute to our happiness and doesn't create a sustainable society. So why don't we try much more radical things?
Okay, thank you. Let's go to much narrower questions. Now we're narrowing our questions and answers. I'm going to ask you, Dr. Rubini, because he's an expert of financial economics, and he gets the title of Dr. Doom because of his prediction about the right time of the financial crisis.
crisis, we know that financial crises are related to a build-up of excessive debt, leverage, and restating. There is a boom and bubble, and then we have a bust and a crash. So the question of financial crisis is related, one, to whether there is appropriate regulation supervision of the amount of leverage in the system, not only by financial institutions, but also accumulation of debt by corporates, by households, by government in countries. And we always try to fight the last war after the global financial crisis. We imposed regulation on traditional banks, but then a lot of financial intermediation moved to what people call shadow banks or non-bank financial institutions. There was a reduction of the leverage of the household sector. There was a massive build-up of the leverage of the corporate sector. And while overall private sector leverage was reduced in the US and Europe, there has been a significant build-up of public debt as opposed to private debt. So, you cut one problem, and the build-up of the staking leverage ends up somewhere else. It means we don't have an easy way, an clear way of properly regulating the financial intermediation in a way that prevents significant build-up of lasting crashes. Unfortunately, we're always fighting the last war. In my book, I pointed out that the stocks of private and public debt as a share of GDP had exploded. In 1970, the sum of private and public debt as a share of GDP globally was 100%. By 1999, was almost 200% of GDP globally. Last year was at 350% of GDP globally. In advanced economies, 420. In China, 330. And these ratios are rising. Until 2 or 3 years ago, debt ratios were high, but since interest rates were close to zero, if not negative, on the short end, and with quantities and even long-term interest rates were low, debt servicing ratios were relatively low. What has happened in the last few years has been that with the rise in inflation, central banks have increased policy rates. Short rates have gone from 0 towards 5%. Long rates have gone higher. And therefore, we are in a debt trap where now debt servicing ratios are rising and they're becoming increasingly unsustainable. The IMF and the World Bank suggest already that at least 60 emerging markets and poor economies that have so much debt they will have to restructure their foreign debt and their public debt because it's unsustainable. So I think that as interest rates remain high, to fight inflation, we'll have a severe debt crisis. So final point, central banks are facing not a dilemma, how to maintain price stability and economic growth without recession. They also face a dilemma. They need price stability, they need growth stability and avoid a recession, and they need financial stability. But if you raise interest rates enough to fight inflation, you risk causing an economic crash and a financial crash feeding on each other. And if you instead decide not to raise interest rates enough because you want to avoid an economic and a financial crash, there is a risk of de-anchoring of inflation and inflation expectations, and there is a risk of the rise in inflation and wage price spiral that is damaging because it reduces real income, especially for poor people. So unfortunately, given the stocks of private and public debt, given the rise in inflation, given negative supply shocks, we're probably headed towards a hard landing in the next year or so for the global economy.
Let me start with some of the questions. from the floor first, and then if time remains after answering the questions, then we're going to get back to other points. There are questions to all of you. So I'm going to read the first question to Randa and Shiva. You studied the physics related with the radioactive physics. What do you think about the recently you might have heard that the Japanese government wanted to emit the polluted water from the Fukushima accident? This will be very detrimental to, I do believe that detrimental to both Japanese fishermen and also some of the East Asian fishermen. What is your opinion about this Japanese government's action? You know that there was a Fukushima explosion, right? And then they held the polluted water for a long time, and then they wanted to emit into the Pacific Ocean. Maybe gradually, but many people are worried about, that this will be detrimental to the environmental disaster to East Asian countries. What is your opinion about this Japanese government's decision?
Two quick responses. I started my life in India's fast food reactor, screening to be 18 years nuclear establishment. My sister was a doctor asking a few questions on radiation and online. So I went into theoretical physics, particle physics and one theory. And I realized then, why are we splitting the atom to boil water? That's what the nuclear plants doing is around. You split the atom to boil water to make it soup. And there's simple ways to do it. Second, it is the responsibility of the government to try and put this polluted waste into the oceans, particularly in the context that, I went to Fukushima 1 year after the disaster. And the organic farmers did work with the scientists of the fact. The power of the mycorrhizal fungi, in organic soils, there's this thing called mycorrhizal fungi, which makes the soil living. And on climate change, the data is showing that 1/3 of the emissions can be captured just by this fungi. But in Fukushima, the fungi in the soil had absorbed the radiation. And there are other ways to look for, rather than a responsible way of turning the ocean commons into a dumping of radioactivities.
Okay, thank you. The question to Dr. Kohei, the title is written in English, so I'm going to read it exactly as he wrote. Degrowth communism. How can you start this in practice? What could be the entry point if you want to apply this idea in the society?
Of course, it's very difficult to establish degrowth and communism. So it's more like a theoretical provocation that we need to change the way how we see the world. But at the same time, we can start with some complicated. Introducing just one measure will not really dissolve capitalism and establish communism overnight. But at the same time, it can gradually or even radically change our behavior. For example, what I have been suggesting in Japan are two things. One is 4-day work week. We, especially in Japan, where people work too many hours, and I think this creates various issues, of course, stress, but also the gender inequality and environmental destruction, because if you work, it uses a lot of electricity and energy and resources. Okay? So why don't we reduce the number of hours? Even if we are successful, of course it's capitalism, there's a market, and we work for companies in many ways. But it really challenges especially in countries like South Korea or in Japan, it challenges the walking. We think that walking and making money is a very good thing. That if you wanted to be regarded highly, respect from the others, you need to get a high or make a lot of money. And why many things. But if we can reduce the work hours, it really challenges the fundamental value system of our society. So one thing is the proposal, but the other thing is the introduction of national income. The number, the highest number will be debate. I don't have the concrete models, but it's very symbolic because capitalism is a system where you can make infinite amount, but you can aim to make infinite amount of income. Not even you reach 1 million, you want to reach 2 million, after 2 million, you need 10 million, and so on. But if you introduce, for example, 1 million US dollars as a maximum income, maximum, after that point, you will lose all the money by government. Then it really challenges the fundamental assumption of capitalism that we can have maximum or infinite growth, infinite income, infinite consumption, and so on. So even after the introduction of maximum income, things will be capitalist, will be market, no starting, no worry. But we can actually radically challenge some of the assumption of our society, which will lead or open up further spaces of more radical imagination and experimentation.
Okay, lastly, a question to Dr. Rubin. Okay, this is a question from the floor. That there is no one answer to solve all problems. And indeed, there are many small-scale alternatives for changes. But do you think that these small-scale alternatives or changes are enough to trigger challenge?
I would say that the two things are not contradictory with each other. Okay, global climate change is a huge problem, but we cannot say there is one bullet solution is going to be resolving it. First of all, we need to make choices not only collectively but also individually. It's estimated that between 25 to 30% of all greenhouse gas emission comes from livestock agriculture. So if each of us were to become, for example, vegan, we resolve that problem. Of course, I don't want to impose it on everybody, but in India people are vegetarian, for example, and of course our diets are going in a direction that make our health worse. Obesity, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and so on. So we definitely have to change the way we eat in the food systems in order to achieve that. You know, each of us should be insulating our homes. Each of us should be using more mass transportation. Each of us should do the small things that reduce our carbon footprint. These add up. But then there are things that have to be done at the national level and the international level. As I said, there are technologies from renewable carbon capture to green hydrogen, and fusion eventually are going to allow us to produce more energy cheaper with less and eventually zero emissions. We don't know which one of these technologies will work, but we also need international collaboration. If a country does all the effort to reduce their emissions to zero and nobody else does, then we don't get the benefits, they're only the costs. So we need international coordination. And in a world in which there is global rivalry between great power, it's very hard to find that coordination, and that's the problem we're facing. Whereas I pointed out, 90% of historical emission were industrial economies, but now half of the flow of new emission is coming from countries like China, India, and other emerging markets. So you have to find a way of cooperating. So we need individual solutions, we need national solutions, and we need the global solution, because many of these problems whether it's climate change, global pandemics, economic and financial security, global security, free trade. These are things that are a global externality and cannot be resolved at the national level. They need some degree of global cooperation, global coordination, and of global governance as well.
Okay, thank you. I think it is a good point to say that all of the many problems, many of the problems that we are facing currently is needs not only the individual and the national effort, but also the needs international global level of coordination, which is very difficult to get. Now, a thing which makes this international coordination more difficult is, I think, the proliferation of the political, the populism, which is based on, the anger, irresponsibility, and the revenge. As we know, many democracies are currently facing the problem of this populism. Even in the United States, the so-called global democracy, Donald Trump got the power once, and then he's trying to get power one more time. All geopolitical tensions are also partly caused by these irresponsible, politicians whose, I think, level is below the average of the citizens in their society. The Korean society is also vulnerable to this, from this threat of populism, both right-wing and left-wing. Now, how do you think that we can solve this, populist politics from your vision? In particular, if you want to resolve, some of the issues that the current human beings are facing. Dr. Saito is suggesting communism. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Dr. Shiva mentioned about the ecological, the community, and Dr. Rubini talked about more, the financial stable and justice society, a system that solves the 10 megathreats. Now, in your region, we have only about 10 minutes. Now, how do we challenge this political instability and the political problems that the communities are facing? And does it also exacerbate the problems that you mentioned during your presentation? Would you start? And then next Shiva, and the last.
Yes. So I think we should not treat populism as something bad. If we simply say, oh, populism is anti-democratic, populism is for stupid people, then we need simply the rules for more right-wing people to take over that space and utilize it for the sake of anti-regulation, anti-climate crisis measures, all of that things. But I think fundamentally politics is something related to populism. And my advocation of communism is regaining the left populist imaginary for changing the society from below. And that's one form of populism, I think. But politics is populism. We cannot simply say, right-wing populism is bad, we should protect the will, and so on. I think that kind of debate or framework, of thinking itself is very and something is ideological, so we should think about it. Socialism is ideology, populism is anti-politics, anti-democracy. But who judges it? Only certain people who are in the media, in academia, who are and so on. And then what is something against those dominant discourse are regarded as anti-scientific, demagogue, ideology, or whatsoever. So what we are witnessing is not, of course, many bad things, and I agree, I don't support Putin, no worries, right? But at the same time, what we are witnessing today is this limitation of the various binaries, and who is failure, inferior, you know, that kind of good, bad, that kind of binary itself is destabilized. But you can utilize for the sake of building a new way of thinking. And we can go over the old way of thinking about development, old way of thinking about progress, old way of thinking about freedom, and so on. There I see the hope, the possibilities. So, of course, populism is very dangerous, and I don't necessarily support all those kind of movements, but at the same time, we have to take it as a reality, especially in the time of crisis. Emergency is necessary that kind of movement march. So we should intervene instead of rejecting it as something.
When I asked the politics of populism, I just did not mean that it's the politics by people. I mean, you know, in the name of the people, they provide a lot of lip service to lower class people and poor people and so on. But the politicians, populist politicians are playing irresponsible, you know, politics and the politics of revenge and anger and the overly antagonistic, you know, the politics and so on. So, I mean,
I agree with that. The point is those current systems, especially the liberals, are not responding to the voices of the poor, of the immigrants, and so on. That's why those people are more attracted to those more extreme, dangerous tendencies. So I think we really need to hear what they are demanding and what's really wrong about the current system. That's my point.
okay, please.
I think it's good to go back in time that in the early 90s, local democracies, national democracies, and the global international system were totally coherent. And the local reflected all the way to the global. That's how we got international treaties on climate change, on biodiversity. These were signed at the Rio Convention of 1992. So it isn't the case that we don't have a global system, but it's been broken down. Mr. Obama destroyed the climate treaty in Copenhagen. I was there. He took the leaders and said, why should we make a climate treaty to reduce emissions? And exactly at the time when corporate globalization was being put in place, and the WTO was being called the world's constitution, or national constitutions were not matter. They were national democracies were not matter. Around that time, Mr. Samuel Huntington wrote a book called The Clash of Civilizations and put at the center stage the whole issue of a negative cultural identity as the defining force of politics. He said, if you can only know who you are if you know who you hate. So you put hate politics and everybody identities at the center. And corporate globalization went hand in hand with this divide and rule of our societies. And this is what has dominated our societies. Nationally, everyone is distracted with this politics of media, the politics of fear. And many times in international systems that have been put in place, where representatives of the people who negotiate, the reason I book one is first 1% is I watched at the Paris meeting of climate change. Mr. Gates ran the show. I said, since when did billionaires displace heads of state? Yeah? A political economic shift is taking place. And right now, both the Convention on Biological Diversity and the Convention on Biodiversity and UN FCC are being, literally the rules are being written by the polluters, the billionaires, the 1%, which are mainly responsible for all the pollution. And what they are Because they were saying that 1 American is equal to 50 Bangladeshis and 10 Chinese, and therefore the cost of life is lower in the South, we can damage them more. So we have to reclaim our international systems as democratic systems. We definitely have to reclaim our national democracies, but still not have it top down. It will only happen when from the grassroots up, we are able to resurrect the rights of the people and their duties. We are able to connect communities in bonds of sharing and friendship and solidarity as one humanity on one planet. And this is what I call a democracy widening the sphere of concern to include other species on whom we depend and to include the last person. And it's also democracy of everyday life, not a vote once in 4 years that can be bought by big money, which is what's happening everywhere, but democracy through participation and shaping our societies, shaping our economies, shaping the values through which we live.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'll be brief. That's one last minute. I'm not going to provide all solutions, but I think we need to reform liberal democracy. We have to reform democratic capitalism to make it sustainable and go towards net zero, to make it inclusive so that there is less income inequality, and to make sure that we provide jobs and incomes to everybody, young people and other workers, so that everybody can survive and thrive in a world that will be still dominated by technology and still dominated by some degree of trade in goods and services and capital, labor and technology, in spite of the trends towards globalization. It's not an easy task. It takes a lot of thinking, but I would say that liberal democracies that are market-oriented with a good government that provides a wide range of transfer payments, public goods, and progressive taxation. That combination of solutions over time can make a success of countries that reach levels of high per capita income achievable also by other countries gradually over time.
Okay, thank you. Now, currently is just slightly over past call. Now it's time to wrap up this session. I'd like to thank all of you for giving us thoughts, also for spending time with us.